Hello?
How are you?
Is this, to whom do I speak?
This is Mr. White.
Just wanted to make sure for the recording. Welcome.
Thank you.
Trina is just texted me and said she can't get on. She's in Alabama, and she's having difficult. I have to tell you. Oh, okay. So the recording has started. Well, that's good. I don't know. It keeps giving us that message. I'm hoping. Mm-hmm. Oh, so she said she can control the call. Let's see. I can control the call, but I can't sign in. How dumb. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to tell her it's recording. Well, she says she can control it, but she can't sign in. Well, so it is recording, so that's a good thing.
Okay.
That's a good thing. I'm happy about that.
I don't hear her voice I don't hear her voice tonight.
I'm hoping you will. I did text her and say go to your local Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's.
Yeah, because that's free Wi-Fi.
Yeah. That's right. I have no idea where in Alabama.
How long have you guys been doing this? How long are you on tour?
This is, 14 weeks. This is the 14th week.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the 14th week. Because she said she's going to try another way. Let's see. She'll get it. She'll
Honored to get in the vacation.
Yeah. This is
wherever
week
she
14.
is.
Hello?
Wherever she is.
Somewhere in Alabama.
Yeah, but she's driving?
No. Oh. She her husband's dad passed.
Oh,
so
sorry to hear. Why
yeah. And
next week.
Hello? So so she was dealing with, making the funeral arrangements and everything. So
She could have did this next week. Wait till I see her by herself.
Yeah. I don't know where in Alabama.
Now, I was just going to say, wherever she is, see if they got Wi-Fi. All you need is Wi-Fi.
Well, she thought she had access to her husband's hotspot, which she had access earlier today. So I don't know, maybe wherever they went back to or wherever they are now, it's not allowing her.
Sometimes they don't work in dead zone.
Yeah, well, and that's probably where she is too. And she's not able to, but she's able to record. So she says she can control it. She just can't sign in. So, but she'll figure it out. I trust. I trust she'll get this together. She'll be on. Absolutely. So have you decided whether or not you're going to share any of the poetry?
I don't know.
Okay.
I see how it goes. I mean, it's we get through the night. Where you at? We get through the night, and maybe I'll try to get it in there.
Okay. All right. That sounds like a plan to me. So, yeah. So on Judge Jill Brown, there was this young lady mother suing her because her mom had loaned her some money and she didn't think she had to pay her mom back and blah 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 blah. And so no, wrong story. It was about this young lady who had loaned her friend some money, and the friend didn't think she had to pay her back. And there was like all this chaos where folks would come into the woman who loaned her the money to her house, threatening her and all this. So, like, the young lady's brother was walking his nephew to school. And he felt that he had to do that to protect his nephew because of all this other chaos that was going on. And Judge Jill Brown commended him for stepping up and saying, you did the right thing and you're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. And this is a way of showing the young men that there are men in our community that will protect, the family, that will make sure that you're safe. And so as you were speaking, as we were doing our prep work earlier, I thought about that, and I was like, how timely was that today? Because as you were speaking about all the work and how you were able to, shape some of these young men that you work with into, like, just turn them around into positive thinking, acting, productive adults. And it was just, so timely, like I said, just so timely. So timely.
Hello. It's
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, I told him, I said, you figure it out.
Hello, Mr. White.
Hey,
Welcome to Urban Academics.
He said, I'm not figuring her voice. I said, she'll figure it out. She'll get here.
Yeah. I got to get there.
Why you didn't reschedule this? You down there dealing with, family matters.
Trina?
Come on.
Oh, man.
Going in 60 seconds.
That was a good movie.
It was. Hey, there's a great movie on tonight, though. Nia Long and Omar Epps. And it's called, I think it's called, it starts today on Netflix. You have Netflix?
Yeah.
Yep, it starts today on Netflix. And
Netflix.
It's called, hello? Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah. Okay, it's called, let me see what it's called.
I'm going to it now. Oh. Fatal Affair.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I'm going to watch that tomorrow. I was going to watch it tonight until this came up.
Is this a series?
No, I think it's a movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely going to watch that. That looks like it's going to be good. I watched the trailer to it, and the trailer was good.
Okay. Cool. Good stuff. What time is it?
9:28.
Okay. Yeah, I love those two anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, one of the good movies, and Omar. You got to see him in, you see Shooter?
Yes.
The series, not the movie.
Oh, no, wait. No, I haven't watched The Shooter.
Yeah, you got to watch The Shooter. The series, not the movie.
The series, okay.
The movie's good, too, but the series is nice.
Okay.
Omar's in that one.
Hello, is there anyone else on?
That's me, just calling back. I got cut off. I don't know why. I have the power plug in. Well, where are we at? Like, got 2 minutes? 1 minute. Okay. 1 minute.
And I was saying to you before you hung up on us, I was like, why you didn't reschedule this? You down there dealing with family matters. She got hung up again? She hung up again.
Isn't that so? I guess she's just not supposed to respond to that.
I know, right? I'm not going to ask her.
Did you hear him? Hello?
She gone. I'm not going to ask her again, because every time I ask her, she...
Right. It seems like that's the charge, to knock her right off. Well, welcome, everyone. It is 9:30, and hopefully we are recording. Welcome to the Urban Academics Roundtable 14-1. We're looking forward to tonight. I just want to thank God for the opportunity to be able to co-host this evening with our wonderful co-host and founder. Hopefully she'll be able to get on the line and stay on the line this evening. Trina is experiencing technical difficulties, but not one that to allow any such thing as technical difficulties to stop her from manifesting and doing what she has to do. And so with all the faith, we know that she is going to join us on this call this evening.
I'm on the call. I'm on the call. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I got on by 9:30, but it's 9:31 now, so I apologize for that minute.
Hello. Welcome, my love. How are you?
I better jump in, though, so that if I drop again, I'll be able to at least introduce this wonderful guest we have tonight. So welcome to this segment of the Urban Academics Roundtable. This is a discussion that is so timely that it's just manifesting all over everything I see today, everything that's in the news is pointing to this topic that we have today. So I want to introduce a wonderful young man who has been a part of my life as long as I can remember. There has been a C. White somewhere that I can reach for. I can find him. I can talk to him. I can reach out to him. He's a wealth of information. He's a resource in the community, not just for me or my organization, but for so many more. This particular person is just admired by his peers, his coworkers, the children. I've had him come and do workshops with the children. He actually features on one of our songs about the number 11, Beverly, and I sent it to you all earlier, hoping that you'd get a chance to listen to it. So I hope that you will. It's a wonderful tune, and he literally was in the studio with the children. It wasn't that we had him somewhere else or anything like that. He really loves the work that he does, and he speaks to this topic. And of course, the person who introduces him is Lady K, but I just wanted to say that real quick. And if it is lawful at all, I'd like to just wish my father-in-law in heaven. He passed away this Monday, and so I'm traveling. And I just want to take 1 minute to bless my father-in-law, Mr. Maurice Presley Sr. Thank you for allowing me to do that. That's not something we've ever done here at the round table, but really grateful that you all allowed me to do that. And I'm not sure if I'm still on the call. I can't tell. Let's see. Yes, I am. It looks like I am. So I'm going to go ahead and give the call over to Kay, and I'm going to put my phone on mute.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It is always my pleasure and privilege to be on this call and to thank Trina for her strength and her courage, as she just mentioned, with all that she is dealing with, her commitment to this work is just being shown and demonstrated by her presence here tonight with all that she is given. But again, our Lord and Father and Savior, He gives us exactly what He knows we can handle. And so I'm grateful to you, Trina. I mean, this is, again, an example of it's what God's will is, and He gives us the strength. So thank you, Trina. I thank you again for your vision, your strength, your courage, and giving us an example of what it is that we are to do when we know we are doing God's will. And so I have again this opportunity to introduce tonight's guest in the hot seat. This young man has demonstrated his love, his understanding of God's work through his commitment to the young people that he has mentored and has been a role model for. And just a blessing to have a strong African-American man that understands his role as a man, and what he has shared with the young people has been something that you can't put a dollar price on. You can't measure it because it is something that he recognized at an early age when he sought out the education and the resources that were going to propel him to be able to have the tools necessary to do the work that he does. And so we are blessed to have in our community, New Haven, this young man, D. White, Carlton, Brother White, here, who is going to give us, samples of his work as he has spearheaded the Father Initiative at the Department of Children and Families. He is an entrepreneur. He is an author. He's a poet. And so it is my honor to be able to share tonight the table. And Lord, we thank you this evening. We come to you with humble hearts and minds. And Lord, as we partake in the meal at this table, we are so grateful for the nourishment that we know we're going to receive this evening from Brother White as he shares his experiences, his wisdom, his knowledge, his love for the work that he does. He's in, I just got to share this. He shared pictures this evening as we were doing our prep work earlier of his certificates on his wall, and it was just so wonderful that he actually showed a certificate of completion that had my signature and Barbara Tenney's signature, which is another woman who hopefully will get her in the hot seat as well. But thank you, Carlton, for recognizing the efforts of those of us in this community that could help support you as a stronghold, and how you took advantage, again, of the resources that are made available to you. And so with all of that, we thank you for sharing tonight the Fatherhood Initiative and what that means to you, how you got started, and where you are now on your journey. I thank you for this evening, and take it away here at the Urban Academics Roundtable Hot Seat. Thank you, Brother Carlton White. Thank you.
No, thank you for the introduction. That was a beautiful introduction. First, I'd like to give thanks to our Lord and Savior. Also, my condolences to Trina and her family. I wish them well through this difficult time. That was a real nice, a double exposure introduction from you and Trina. So I thank you for that. A little about myself. I'm from New Haven, Ashland Street Projects. I was raised there at the age of 3. And, life was really, really hard. I mean, I had a strong mom, which helped me out a lot. Strong mother, 5 kids, no dad, never had a father figure, which was tough for me because, growing up, you see all the kids with everything, and, there's some things that you want but you can't get because that extra paycheck is not there. I remember at a time when I was 8 years old and I told my mother that I was going to be somebody, and she looked at me and she told me that she knew I was. So I started utilizing people from the community. There was Mr. Garris from the Q House, Mink Fernandez. He kept us in line. I had an older brother who kept, he kept eyes on me, but he did his own thing. So I used other resources, and I stayed connected to those resources. And I built a wonderful bridge for myself because I came in contact with some strong individuals from the community. Did I have people who wanted me to sway the other way? Yeah, but, I made my own mind up. I was never a follower, always was a leader. And even if that meant, getting teased, getting bullied, people calling you names, so be it. When I was a kid, they always said sticks and stones, they break your bones, but names will never hurt you. So I carried that with me, and names have really never hurt me. So I continued on my freshman year in high school, 1976. I can age myself. I'm proud of it. My first job was at the Dixwell Community House, working at the community house with Mink Fernandez, and I was proud of that, to go on to be a case manager with Miriam Sheffield. They called us the Diamond Duo. It would take us like a half hour to do a home visit that's right across the street because everybody wanted to talk to us. That was a wonderful thing, and that's where I met the wonderful Mrs. K and Mrs. Barbara Tenney. I met the two of them. I was in training. It was a youth development training and resource, and going through that training, I learned a lot from the two of you. Two of you guys inspired me because there I was again in front of 2 strong women, having a strong woman at home and then going into the community meeting 2 more stronger women. I thought women run the world, and for my foresight, that's what I always saw, and that's what I always believed. So I give utmost respect to all the women in the world. And people who know me know this is just not talk. This is real life with me. So after obtaining that job doing case management, that took me on to running a juvenile program. actually 2 juvenile programs, and out of the Dixwell Q House, a day at a time, and Gateway Female Offenders Program, and one job led to the next, which led to the next, and I continued working at all these jobs. I worked at the Children's Center in Hamden, Juvenile Case Management Collaborative Outreach and Tracking. I worked at ACES High School as a behavioral technician. I worked at St. Francis Home for Children as the director of the Extended Day Program, and then I was the director of the Residential Unit 2. So I kind of moved around a lot.
The Indian family?
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of moved around a lot from job to job to job. When I was at the Children's Center, I met a young lady. Her name was Lovey Bourne. She was from DCF. And she came to the Children's Center to meet with me. And I was wondering, why would somebody from DCF want to meet with me? I'm working with all these juveniles. I'm out late at night at times. And I'm like, why is this lady coming here? So she came to the Children's Center. And actually, when I got at the Children's Center, Brian Lynch, who was the director, he recruited me. So that's how I got the job at the Children's Center. And when she came here to visit me. She was like, my supervisor, John Gill, had came upstairs and said, Mr. White, there's someone here from DCF who want to visit you. And I was like, someone from DCF? Send her upstairs. So she came upstairs to my office. And she wanted to talk to me, just to tell me, what a great job she's hearing about me in the community. I never even knew that. I mean, she's telling me all these great stories she's heard, and, how I'm getting kids in school who haven't been in school in 2 and 3 years. I'm getting them in school the next day, and a lot of DCF workers want their kids in my program. And, so I was like, okay. I thought it was something negative because, sometimes kids lie on you and then you got to defend yourself to get out of it, But in this case, it wasn't that. And so we talked, we met. She wanted to go out with me just to see. So I took her in the ghetto. And the ghetto is Franklin Street Projects. So we went over there. We was walking around the projects because I had a client over there I was going to see. And we walked around the projects, and all of a sudden we got on the side of the building, and behind the other side of the building, we heard gunshots. And she stood there. She was like, what is that? I said, it was gunshots. I said, could you stay right here? She stood there. I walked around the building. I looked at the guys, and I was like, yo, what are you guys doing? They was like, yo, what? I said, yo, I got company. We walking around. I said, I got somebody here from DCF. And I'm showing her the projects, and you guys are like shooting guns at me. Oh, man, we're sorry, blah, blah, blah. And they were so apologetic. It was just a respect thing. So we met with the kid from the Franklin Street Projects. And, this story is, like, so amazing. Like, I never really told anybody this story. But we met with the kid. We went out to go eat. We met with the kid. And he talked about how Franklin Street Projects used to have basketball courts. And they tore them down and they built parking lots. Like, a lot of people in the projects don't have cars. So why would you take away the only outlet and make a parking lot? So Lovey was like, well, talk to your state rep. And as you know, C. White knows everybody. So the state rep at the time was Bill Dyson. So I went to his house. I brought the kid with me. We went to his house. We talked to him. And we told him what the story was. And he was like, okay, send him a letter. So he could take it to wherever they meet at in Hartford. And so we drafted up a letter. We went to my office, me and the kid. I helped him type the letter. I made it appropriate. And we CC'd Lovey Bourne on it. So right now in Franklin Street Projects, they have like a beautiful park in the middle of Franklin Street Projects. And the kid always tell people that, look what Mr. White did. And I'd be like, I didn't do that. You did it. You take the onus on this one because it was your story that got the ball rolling. And all I did was took you to the necessary people to make this thing, put it in fruition. And right now there's a park in here because of this kid, and this kid, I mean, that just kind of like, took him to a whole nother level, and and it inspired him to do something with his life instead of, doing a negative thing. It inspired him to do some great things. I got to see him years later as a grown man, and just to shake his hand, and he tell me he's working, and he got a family, and that right there is the pay for the work we do, not the monetary. When you can change a kid's life, nothing in the world can top that. So that was one of my stories. We did take her out. We did go out after that, and she kind of met with him and kind of told him what a great job he did on the letter, and so it was nice. And she told me that I needed to go back to school because at this point, all those directing programs, I didn't have a degree. I did it based off of merit. People knew the good work I did. I didn't complain. I didn't look at this guy sitting down, so I'm going to sit down. Nope, I just worked harder than everybody. And it paid off because I was getting these director jobs and I didn't have a degree. So she told me I need to come work for DCF, and I told her that's not going to happen because I told her the trauma from when I was a kid and watching DCF in the projects pulling kids, and I'm seeing people that I know getting taken away, and I'm like, what? These big giant emblems on the side of the car. I never wanted to work for DCF. So when I was at St. Francis Home for Children, a friend of mine, his name is Anthony Gay, real close friend of mine. We did a lot of work in the community together. We always tried to get each other to work at each other's job, but it was always something about each other's job that we didn't like, So finally he got to the DCF, and he was like, "Yo, see, you need to come work with DCF." And I was like, "Come on, man, I'm not going to work for DCF. You know how I feel about that place." Now, normally when you talk to people, they talk about money. He didn't mention anything about money. He said, "Yo, see, the insurance, $50 for a family." And at the time, I was paying $320-something for me and my son for medical benefits. And I was like, wait, what? It's $50? Wait, what did you say? I need to fill out the application? Went online in November. They hired me December. And it's been me and him since then. Children's DCF is a great place to work at. A lot of things have changed from the old DCF or the DCYS, as some of us know it, the elder folk.
Yeah.
A lot of things have changed, and some of the onus goes to my friend Anthony Gay, because I remember, when I first started, if a mother would say, would bash a father and he's never been in a kid's life, and that would be like the end of the story, and there was no looking for dads. That was just it. Okay, mom said dad ain't involved, so we just gonna work with mom and the kid. About 9 years ago, Anthony started this fatherhood initiative, called the FELT team, Fathers Engagement Leadership Team, and he pulled in the community, so it wasn't just DCF. He pulled in providers. He pulled in fathers from the community to be on his team, so it's not DCF making decisions, because we know, the older folks know, it takes that village, and that's how I was raised, in a village, and in that village, it helped me out a lot. I made mistakes. I made mistakes of, leaving high school and not going straight into college, because I did a year and then I took my money and I went half on a grocery store. So me and a friend of mine, we owned a grocery store. We did that for 5.5 years. Then after that, we sold the store. He went left, I went right, and our lives changed. The two guys that was, two peas in a pod, became a split pea. And that right there, that moment right there made me look at my life and just start to focus and want to change directions and do the right things and do all the necessary things. So when I did start working with DCF and he did start the fatherhood program, it changed a lot of things, because now the first responders are the investigators. They're the ones, when the call come in, investigators go to your home and they answer the call. And now when you could say whatever you want about a dad. He ain't this, he ain't that, he ain't never been in his life. An investigator cannot transfer that case to ongoing social worker without looking for a dad.
Right.
So you have to look for a dad. You have to show reasonable efforts. You have to show what you did to seek this father out. And if you don't show any efforts of seeking out a father, you can't transfer that case. And trust me, you don't want to be holding on to a case for a long time too, because everything is time sensitive. So since we started that program, we've been going to New England. New England has a fatherhood conference they have every year, and we've been going. I mean, they've held it in Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut. So, and that's also good too, because now you get to hear other states and what they're doing towards fatherhood. We do have a young man from New Haven who oversees the state of Connecticut. His name is Anthony Junkins. So he oversees the Fatherhood Initiative in the state of Connecticut, and he's the one who's behind the New England Fatherhood Conferencing. So with all that, I became a dad. I have 2 biological children and 1 psychological child that I raised, and they're all doing good. It's the time I invest in my children. It's not about anything that I bought them. It's time. The more time I spend with them, the more motivated they become.
LOWER.
And I want it to be that first role model for them. I don't want my kids looking at TV finding a role model that they can never see, that would never come to the community they live in. I wanted to be that first role model because I didn't have that. And all the things I wanted, I lived through them. I make sure they get all the things that I wish I had, but with work. You have to work for that. My kids know you got to work for it. You ain't getting nothing for free. So they both they're good kids. They work for everything they've got. My daughter works for the government. My son, he just passed the physical written for state trooper or police. So he's waiting to talk to Chief Whitaker in West Hartford. So we're hoping that flies by pretty good. My psychological daughter, she works in the medical field. So I want to inspire the people in my circle. And that's what I do. I inspire the people in my circle. And that's important. To the fathers out there, I want to encourage you to spend time with your youth, co-parent. And when you co-parent, try to keep it civil. Don't ever cross the line, because crossing that line can be a cause for disaster. So just, like I said, just spend time with your kids. And like even now, my daughter, she's a grown woman. She lives in Virginia. But when she comes down, we spend time together. We do the same things we did when she was a kid, because I'm still dad. We still go to the movies. We still go out to eat. We still do the same things. It's important that, your mate in your life loves kids. My wife has a son, and now he's my son, and I'm his stepdad, and my wife is stepmom to my kids, and we formed a beautiful union, and, everybody's getting together and everybody's doing great. My stepson also graduated from Albertus Magnus, and, he's in the communication field, and he's doing his own thing. He has 2 children. My son, he has a daughter, 3 years old. He's married. So it's just a time that you put in there, because, I don't want no police officer come knocking on my door. I don't want to look at the TV and see or hear about, no police officer, what they beat up my son or whatever. I don't want to see that. So, I mean, just time spent And I keep emphasizing time, not money, not buying your kids all this stuff. Spend time with them. Spend lots of time with them, you know. When I had my children, I put me away, and I spend most of my time with my child or my children. And I stopped all the stuff I used to want and all the stuff I used to get in the cars and all the fancy stuff, and put all that stuff away. And, you know, I'm a living example. I went from the bricks, and now I live in the sticks. You know, and it can be done. It can be done. I'm involved in a lot of things trying to help youth. It's all about pulling up. It's not about crab in the barrel. You know, crab in the barrel. One man almost out, somebody pull him back in. You know, some of that's still going on today, and we have to, you know, overlook that. We have one of the most powerful movements America has ever seen, and I'm still hearing that we're killing our own. You know, and to me that doesn't make sense. You know, I don't think it could be anything, you know, that critical that could make you want to take a life. You know, just for the sake of taking a life.
Hey, little boy.
Huh? We're doing
I just
things,
got on with her pizza.
We're doing things that, you know, doesn't even
Don't forget
make
to
sense.
clean up before you go to bed. Look.
Hold on 1 second. Excuse me. Could everyone please mute their phone? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So we have to look at what's going on around us. We have to educate ourselves. We all have phones, but we play with them. Let's stop playing with the phones. Let's use them for educational purposes. You have a phone that has access to any information in the world that you need, but we don't do that. I mean, you know, our sisters, we got to stop with the twerking. Our brothers, we got to stop with the, you know, saggy pants, carrying guns, shooting at people that look just like you. Like, all this stuff is nonsense. You know, what does it get you? This is very, very, very important. Life is about self-worth. If you know what you're worth, you won't be killing nobody over $5, $20, $100, $1,000, because you'll understand that you're worth way more than that. You know, I'm one of the few who came out of the high-rise projects that has never been incarcerated. I refuse to give my time to somebody else. My time goes to my children. It's the only person, the only people that could take up my time. I refuse to wear free bracelets. I got enough money to go buy bracelets if I want bracelets on my arm. I'm smart enough to understand the situation I'm in. One of the best defenses is knowing the opposition. And I understand what's going on in the world, and it's always been going on. So I'm not acting brand new. I just know how to navigate around it. You know, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you'll understand that, you know, stop being sick and tired. I don't celebrate holidays because holidays were formed by our oppressors. When you understand what each holiday means, then you'll understand why I don't celebrate. I know we all want to go out and we want to spend our monies. The number one consumer in America is African Americans. We spend more money than anybody in America, but yet we're treated like trash. Now, it don't take a rocket scientist to understand that if you're going to treat me that way, I'm not giving you my money. When I go into black establishments, I always leave a nice, faithful tip. Because when I go in the other stores, I leave a tip. So why when I go in the African American stores, I don't leave a tip? No, I do. I leave a tip. And they can all tell you, too. I mean, Sandra's my favorite soul food spot. Kevin's my favorite seafood spot. I don't be playing around. Go to Mama's Kitchen. You know, I love it. And Rally Pizza is right in the African American community, and I see people that work there that look like me. They don't own it, but they look like me. I go in there, and you know that's my favorite pizza spot. So I got some favorite spots, and my favorite spots are in Wavy. You know, so I mean, it's just change the narrative. That's all you got to do is change the narrative. You know, we continue to go on and accept the things that we don't want to accept, but we accept them. Well, change the narrative. Do things differently. Be different. I'm different. I know when I start talking to some of my people, they be looking at me like I'm crazy. You don't celebrate Christmas? No. It's subliminal in there. Understand the subliminals. Christmas. What is Christmas? What's the guy's name? Santa? Santa. And what color is his suit? It's red. And how does he get in your house? Down a chimney, and chimney's for fire. Well, Satan and Santa is the same. They both got red suits, and Satan comes out of a fire. It's just a subliminal. Halloween. Why mask? Why put a mask on? You don't like who you are? I love who I am. Never going to put a mask on my face. You know, and I could go on and on and on. Like, you know, the resurrection. They say he died on a Friday and rose in 3 days. Well, 3 days is Monday for people who don't know how to add. 3 days is Monday. And then what in the world do rabbits and eggs have in common? There's no connection. None. Rabbits don't lay eggs. You know, so when you start looking at some of these things, man, and understand what they did, they made this calendar. And then, for the sake of me, people are supporting Christopher Columbus. I ain't got nothing against Italian people. I got something against Christopher Columbus, because what did he do? He stole everything he had, and he's a hero. But if I go out here and steal, I get shot and gunned down. Make me understand that. And I'm going to be honest with you. If Christopher was black, and he did what he did, and people said, remove this statue, I'm not going out there talking about no, leave the statue up. No, take it down. That's humanitarian. Take it down. I don't care if he's black, white, blue, green, purple. Take it down. What did he do? For years you lied to us, and we sit back and we believed your lies. You wouldn't let us educate ourselves, but we did it anyway. We built this country. We didn't get paid for nothing. So unless you were Indian, don't ever tell me to go back to where I came from. Because don't nobody belong here but the Indian. Our Native American. You know, so, I mean, it's just a lot of things that we need to change as people. And when you look at that and when you want to change, you're going to change. Change the narrative. Be different. I beg you to be different. Because I'm not going to be like anybody else, and ain't nobody going to make up my mind. I make up my own mind. I spend time with my kids. That's very important. I don't see a lot of it. It's unfortunate that when I do go in homes, I see a lot of single mothers. I grew up in that element, so I understand it. I don't understand why fathers want to run away from their child. They talk about, I pay child support, so that's enough. Well, let me explain something to you. I pay child support too, and I work for the state. And guess what? That ain't changed a thing with me and my kids. That's water under the bridge. For all you fathers out there who say you pay child support and now all of a sudden you don't want to see your son, or, you know, when you pick your son up, you tell him get money from your mother. Well, listen to this. When you out there betting and gambling and drinking and smoking and getting high, all that money you spending, well, stop doing that. And then you won't even miss the money they taking out your check. Because I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't get high. I do gamble a little bit. but I stop all the other things, you know. I stop all the other things, you know. Occasionally I go out and try my luck on playing a number, but for the most part I may go to Mohegan Casino and, you know, try to win a little bit, but that's it. That's my only outlet. I don't spend money on alcohol, and I can't understand it for the sake of my life that alcohol is legal and marijuana is not. And now you got to get a marijuana card. But all these years, marijuana wasn't legal and alcohol was. And alcohol is the one who takes you out of your circumference and you become somebody else. and it slurs your speech and blurs your vision. And these are the people out here tearing up other people's cars and hitting people, and but yet that's legal, and then the marijuana is not. And I guess they couldn't get a hold on marijuana, so they couldn't legalize it because they couldn't get a hold on it because people still grow it in their own yards and different other places. But you got to understand the world you live in. It's a sad world on so many levels. We are the most hated individuals in America, actually in the world, for some strange reason, because everybody hates us, and the craziest thing is we hate ourselves. And that's sad. That's sad. So, me, I'm on something different, man. Like, I ain't bringing no trouble to you. I don't want to hang around when I know trouble's about to start. I leave. I don't wait for it. I don't want to see who gets beat up, who gets jumped, who gets shot. I don't want to see that. I'm out of there. I remember my son was going to Alabama State, and he told me him and his friends were going out, and I told him, as soon as the birds start chirping, leave. And that means as soon as you hear somebody say, "What? Say it again," or any kind of explosion with a voice tone, leave. Don't wait. Don't wait for nothing, because you're a long way from home, and it'll take me a long time to get down to Alabama. I tell my daughter the same thing. I want to know who your friends are. I want to know everything about you, because you are me. And I want to know. I want to know who he's hanging out with. And he could be a good kid, but I want to meet their parents. Because he might be a good kid, come from a broken home where, mom has a boyfriend, the boyfriend sells drugs out of the home. I don't want you to be in that house when the cops kick the door down, because they're not trying to be like, "Oh, you a little kid, move out the way." No, they slinging everybody. And I don't want my son caught up in nothing. So every aspect. If you're a parent and your kid is coming home with stuff you can't afford, it's time to question your son before he ends up in a casket and you say he was a good kid, when you know deep down in your heart that he was out there doing something wrong and you didn't change the narrative. Once again, change the narrative. I'm on the phone with my kids regularly, finding out what's going on with them. My wife's son, he comes over regularly. My son comes over regularly. It's a family thing. This is something. When I grew up, everybody did their own thing. It was 5 of us, and we never ate together as a family. You come in, you eat. I played sports. That was my savior. That was my outlet. I played sports my whole life, and as I got older, I had to find another outlet because I can't play sports like I used to when I was a kid. So now I write. I'm an author. I wrote a book. My second book is coming out real soon, probably the end of this year. I've been in 3 movies. It's like there's nothing I can do. So anytime I meet a kid, he'd be like, "You don't understand. You don't know what it's like. Look at you. You wearing polo. You don't know what I'm going through. You have no idea of my struggles. Having 2 older brothers, and then you're the third one. So by the time the clothes get to you, they're 3 years out of style, and people are teasing you in school for that. Look at you. You wearing them bell bottoms. We used to wear those. We don't wear those no more. And just that wasn't fume to make me explode. That was motivation to make me excel. And that's what happened. And that's where I am. That's why I'm where I am today. All the things people get mad about. And I talk to kids now about it. You get mad because the kid is teasing you. He's making you relevant. So you should, take that with a grain of salt. And I tell kids too, like, when I was coming up and I had a job, every time somebody teased me, when I looked at my check, it was still the same. Mm-hmm. I didn't lose anything. Yeah, they teased me. They got a couple of chuckles, So what I did was I made myself good in all the sports, and I made people stop teasing me. You have to make people treat you the way you want them to treat you. So I got good in sports. People stopped teasing me. They didn't look at what I was wearing. They want me on their team, you know, and that's what happened. So, you know, we do a lot of things, man, and we complain, but you know, we the biggest culprit there is. We're our own worst enemy, you know, and until you get the gist and change the narrative, things are going to continue to happen to you, you know, and you got to want to change the narrative, you know. If white America is treating you in a way that's so disgusting that you're getting mad and you're getting fed up, don't go out and hurt nobody. Stop spending your money. Save your money. What you got to spend it for? Save your money, build your own empire. I have everything in my house that I want. I come home, I'm in a comfort zone. I don't got to go out. I ain't got to go to no bar. The only one getting rich is the person who owns the bar. Everybody else getting drunk, acting stupid, getting tickets, getting locked up. And the only one coming off is the person who owns the bar. Kids playing video games all day, all night. Parents, come on. There's something wrong with that. Video games are designed to take your focus off of what you want to do or what you should be doing. If you don't put a grasp on the video games, your kids are going to be out of control and they're going to be lost. Yeah. I remember once upon a time, my son loved video games so much, his mother told me he don't want to put it down. My son don't even play video games that much anymore. After I got finished with him, I went over there, took the games away from him, and talked to him and let him know, listen, this game is designed to take you off your focus. You know, right now my son is so focused on his career, he ain't thinking about no video games. Once again, the only person getting rich is the person who's creating those video games. The people who playing them is just stagnant. They stand in the same spots, like running in the same place. You ain't going nowhere. You know, stuff you can do in a video game. When you go out in the real field, you can't do that. Got guys dunking from half court. Like, you could really do that? You know, but it's mind over matter. Parents, you need to take a grip of that. Like, you know, don't let your kids play video games all day. You know, it's so much, and it's so many things that, you know, I could talk to you about that I see when I go into certain homes. You know, I got one kid who won't get off the video games. His foster mother, he's in a foster home. His foster mother won't make him get off the video game. You know, and I told him, I said, listen, this kid is so lost now. He just graduated high school, and he don't even have his future plan together. You know, so when you look at situations, you know, you have to do something about it before it becomes too late. You know, and being a graduate and you don't even have your stuff together and you don't even know what your plan is, you know, that's bad. You playing video games, and I always ask them, after you finish playing video games, how much money do you get? Nothing. There's no money coming out of there. That's my point exactly. You 19 years old, don't have a job, you're playing video games all day. That's a problem. That's a problem. And you don't wait till he's 19 to do something about that. You got to nip it in the bud early. When they're kids, you got to nip it in the bud. And something we don't do as parents, you know, because we're so frustrated at our own self, at our situation. You don't change the narrative. Change the narrative. I keep going back to that. Change the narrative. If you don't like something about your life, do something about it. Do something about it. And I don't know if you want to do Q&A, because I could go all night. I could talk to tomorrow. It's just so much that, you know, I've accomplished that I try to help so many people accomplish. I'm always helping people. I ran a juvenile program with the Waterbury PD. It was called night court. So many kids were getting arrested, they couldn't run them through the court. It was too many people. So we had night court where parents, you know, during the day, parents have to be there with their kid, their juvenile. They're missing work. some parents work. They're missing work, and then, you get it rescheduled. You got to miss work again. You get it rescheduled. So we created this thing called night court, where they will come with the kid at night. The police will talk to them. Then we have a couple of providers in case the kid needs counseling. And then we had the gentleman from the halfway house come and talk to him. It's not scare straight. It was just that they're going to tell their story. Listen, I used to be like you, da-da-da-da, this is what I did. I made this mistake, blah, 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 blah. Now look what it did. It cost me. I don't even know about cell phones. There were so many guys come out here don't even know about cell phones. They've been in so long. So it's not like a scare straight, but it's just kind of like, it just kind of opens their mind and let them see what could possibly happen to them. And then I would talk to them at the end, and that's just the first night. And then the next 2 nights, because it's from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., the next 2 nights, the parents just have to drop their kids off. And I don't really focus on what they did to get there. I focus on where they're trying to go. Because so many kids talk about a plan, but then they don't know how to execute the plan. Like I had so many kids talk about, and I don't like busting kids' balloons, and it's almost like, have a backup plan. Because there were so many kids came through there and says they're playing in the NBA. And at one time, I had 7 kids in there that was going to go to the NBA. 7. So what I asked them was, what's your backup plan? None of them had a backup plan. It was almost like they guaranteed to make the NBA. So then I had to bring reality in to make them change the narrative and say, okay, 7 of you guys are going to make the NBA. Now, I'm going to rewind the clock, and I'm going to go back 100 years. And in 100 years, how many guys from Waterbury made it to the NBA? 1. 1 dude, Ryan Gomes. 1 guy from Waterbury made it to the NBA. But I'm sitting here looking at 7 guys telling me they're making it to the NBA. That's why I tell kids, I'm not telling you not to try, but have a backup plan. That's all. And those are things we focus on. And then, the person who wants to be the astronaut. There's always somebody who wants to be an astronaut. How you going to be? Because I'm not just going to settle for you telling me what, because I remember doing that in school. What do you want to do when you grow up? I want to be a police officer. I want to be the fireman. I want to be this. And all these things people says, but nobody never told us how to get there. There's no prep for you going through high school. There's nobody, all right, I want to be an astronaut. That's what one kid says. So who in high school is teaching them, okay, you need all the biologies and sciences and science classes, and you need to go that route? Who's doing that? Nobody. The kid who wants to be the entrepreneur. Who's telling them, take data processing, typing, take the business courses? Who's doing that? Nobody. So our kids are saying what they want to be, but nobody's helping them, instructing them to get there. And then our kids are too scared to go talk to the guidance counselors. And I'm telling all the parents that's listening that, because I'm in schools. I go to kids' schools. I go to their games. I go in their homes. So I know more about your kid than you do in some instances. So nobody's teaching them this stuff. And they're scared to make an appointment. I tell so many clients, so make an appointment with your guidance counselor. Tell them what you want to do so they can help you find your niche, where you want to go, which direction to go into, what classes you should be taking. So when you get to college, you ain't sitting in the back of the class because you don't know, and all the other people that were prepped are in the front of the class getting A's and B's, and then you just the next thing you know, you want to fade out the class and you want to skip the class. But the difference with college and high school is college, they don't care, because once they get your money, they don't care if you come or not.
Right.
So many things that as parents, we have to understand ourselves so we can help our kids. And I talk to parents all day, every day. It don't even matter. I try to help out everybody. So if you need direction, you can reach out to Trina and they can reach out to me, and I'll be happy to give you a call. I'll be happy to sit down with you, your husband, your children, your child, your daughter, your son, and talk to you and give you direction.
Direction is definitely needed.
And that's what I've been doing for the last, I don't know how many years. I mean, I'm not only am I a social worker for DCS, I'm a mandated reporter trainer, so I go around training agencies on mandated reporting. I work for an organization called Welcome to Reality, where we talked about social media and the impact that it has on our children. It has an impact on everybody, but mostly our children, because they're the ones doing things with their cell phones, getting themselves jammed up. There was a young lady in Hartford. She wanted to be a detective. Somehow they found pictures when she was younger in her bra and panties. And that right there held her up. So she couldn't become a detective because of that issue. There's so many other stories like that where they're going in and they're finding. Look at the presidency. They're going in social media. They're looking for things to throw at each other. I don't care about you guys cutting each other. Give me somebody in the White House that's going to care about the country. The first thing with that is, and I'm just going to be brief on this topic. The first thing with that is get rid of the electoral college. Get rid of that. Mm-hmm. Get rid of that, and I'll start voting. I don't vote, and I'll tell you that I don't vote. I'm not telling anybody out there not to vote, but I don't vote. Not at that level. I voted for Kern when he ran for mayor, but at the presidency level, get rid of the electoral college, and then I will be the first one in line to vote. Because Hillary beat 45. I don't call him president, I call him 45. Hillary beat him. But the electors felt they wanted 45 in the office. Mm-hmm. And since he's been in the office, he's been dividing the country. He's been instigating. He's been doing things no other president has ever done. You're on the phone tweeting, and then I remember when you was talking about Obama, how he always let people know what's going on with the country. But ain't that what you're doing with tweeting? And oh my God, you're instigating. I have not seen so many Klansmen and skinheads come out of the woodwork when you got in office. Mm-hmm. When Obama was in office, I didn't see the Black Panther Party and all these other just popping out of nowhere. But when you got in office, all you see is people with hate. But I don't really want to go in on him, because that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. But once again, for those that's listening, we have to change the narrative. We have to do something about our situation. I know the village shut their doors because now kids have guns, and I understand why they're scared. Unfortunately, I'm not scared. I still talk to kids, and I just have a different mindset, because I put the onus on them and let them make the decision on stuff they want to do. I did share a story earlier with Kay. There was a friend of mine that got murdered in New Haven some years ago, and he has 11 brothers, and the youngest one is the most furious. He's the one you should be scared of, the youngest one out of the bunch. And I remember working at the Q House, and he was like a headache, man. I always had to get into this kid, man. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Always doing something. And then the older kids are following him. I'm like, wait, this is the youngest kid out of the bunch, and you guys are following him. And they right there loyal to him, too. So we fast forwarded to maybe, I think my man might have been going about 9 years or so. And I remember going to the funeral and then to the gravesite. And at the gravesite, I called Scott X. I said, Scott, I want you to come over here with me because I want to talk to this young man. And I called him away from his family, and I said, yo, can I talk to you for a second? So he came over, and he was like, what's up? And I looked at him. I looked him right in the face. I said, yo, all I'm going to say to you is don't do it. And he looked at me and said, what are you talking about? I said, yo, don't do it. I know you better than you know you. And you know I know all of you. because I ran the Q House like forever, and I watched them all grow up. They all came through there, every kid in the projects. And I told him, don't do it. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, you know I know you. And I know everybody's waiting for you to make a move to determine what you guys are going to do about this murder. Well, I'm going to tell you what to do. Let the police handle it. And then he looked at me, eyes bubbly. He said, yo, man, what you want me to do? That's my brother, man. I said, I understand. I feel the same pain you felt because he was one of the rising basketball stars from my community. You know, he played in my summer league. You know, I watched him grow up. I knew his dad. And I'm like, I feel the same thing you feel. I feel it too. You know, look around. The whole neighborhood feels it. You know, so I said, turn around. I said, who's that right there? He said, that's my wife. I said, okay. So who's that with her? He said, those are my 2 kids. Okay, so what about them? Now you have to make a decision. Because if you go and something happened to you, what about them? Left it just like that. And he said, you know, you right. And I said, listen, when you were young, I used to always smack you in the back of your head because you always was doing something. But you always had a following. But the following was negative. What if you took that same following and put a spin on it and did something positive so your brother his name don't go down in vain, and do something positive with that and let those same people follow you? How about that? Well, I'm going to tell you all how about that. How about that called Ice the Beef? That's how that came about. He did something positive, and he started Ice the Beef. And next thing you know, he's meeting with Yale. He's on television telling this story. He's traveled around the world. Now he got a son that's grown up, and his son, he's managing his son. His son's a rapper. Performed at the Staples Center where the Lakers play. Like, positive things are happening in his life. Now, can you imagine if I didn't have that talk with him? And they shot up a house. Innocent people died. You got to change the narrative. You have to change the narrative. I can't say that enough. We just go along with the story that's written. No, don't go with the story that's written. Back in the 80s, I used to be a rapper. Some people know I was one of the first rappers in New Haven. And this guy came to my store, and he asked me to do a song with Reggie Reg. A lot of y'all know Reggie Reg. And Reggie was with him. And Reggie said, "See, come on, man, we got a chance to do a album." And I was like, okay, well, let me see the lyrics. Because I'm a conscious brother. I'm not just going to go out there and say some, Pee Wee Herman raps. So I looked at the lyrics and I said, I'll do it, but let me write my own lyrics. You came to me. I ain't come to you. And he said, all right. And he let me write my own lyrics. And me and Reggie Reg did a song together. It's called In the Ghetto. And then, ironically, maybe 10 years later, Busta Rhymes came out with our hook, In the Ghetto. That was ours. We did that. Way before Busta Rhymes was, when Busta Rhymes probably was a little kid. And then 10 years later, Busta Rhymes came out with that song, In the Ghetto. That was our hook. The lyrics were different, but that was our hook, But it was all good. But my point to that was I changed the narrative. I didn't like what I saw. I'm not going to say that. It was some stuff ain't even me. That's like saying you get on TV and be like, yo, man, I'm a cold stone killer. I was one of the Furious. I was one of the biggest drug dealers in New Haven. And I never sold drugs in my life. I can't do that. Everybody's going to know who I am. I can fool people in other cities. I can't fool people where I live at. So I'm not going to say stuff that ain't me. Change the narrative. Change the narrative. In all my life, all I did was change the narrative. And, I'm gonna say this piece, and I'm gonna do a little poetry for you people. And this is called "That's Why I Need My Dad," because dads do matter. As she spread the word, her muscles move. You're not by her side because you're on an Ave with your crew, sort of what deadbeats do, trying to bag females while she's in the delivery room trying to deliver your soon-to-be son, calling on the Lord, praying not to lose this one. Her contractions are too far apart. She's not dilated. And you have no clue because you never cared about her. You were all about you. Her family's in the waiting room trying to call your cell while her mother, who warned her about guys like you, is being crushed by her strength and her pain. If you were handling your business, your soon-to-be son would probably be bearing your name. While the obstetrician's right hand's around his tiny little cranium and his left hand is around his tiny little shoulders, pulling life from her that you gave to her, moments that are supposed to be shared. It would have been nice if you only cared. Meanwhile, your son's ahead of time, and you have no time. Your son is so beautiful, body parts functioning, eyes soft and brown, head full of hair, priceless. Does it talk? No, it whines. Not like the clock with the hands of time, but the clock uses hands to measure time, and you have no time to use your hands to hold your son. You have no job, so you're never on the clock. Rolled by the hospital and never stopped. See, love is measured by how much time is being spent. When you measure your time, he'll grow up to be a man, and you'll probably be wondering where the hell the time went. Now he's much older. And you think money can buy time that was never spent? Unless you buy a watch to watch the time pass, you'll probably be replaying your life without your son because that's what you did to your son. You just let time pass. That's sort of like having an accident and your fender gets bent. The same frustration you feel is what your child felt when you treat him like an accident. Remember, he remembered when you told his mother you wish he was never born. He heard you from the other room. His heart was torn. Now he wishes you were a better man than that 27-year-old man you are 2 days after his birthday. While you're celebrating with the girl you'll never love, your son was home with his mom, the lady he'll forever love, saying, "Mommy, my father missed my birthday again." And at that very same moment, the woman you're with asked about your son's birthday, and you lied and said, "I got him everything he wanted on his birthday list." Lying to a woman, knowing all 5 of his birthdays you missed. Later, you receive a call from your son saying, "I thought you was taking me to a ball game," and you responded, "Well, son, something came up." You lied to your son with a straight face because you felt he'd be in the way knowing you had a girl over at your place. And when you look at your son, he becomes the comma in a sentence that stops you from running. And when he's by your side, he stops you from stunting. You avoid time with your son because your resentment towards his mom. You thought you were hurting her by not seeing your son, but each day you look to the sky, God provides light to understand the sun. And while the sunlight never lets you down, it warms the soul, gives you every reason to shine like God's son. He shined a lifetime of energy, giving you eternal life. Take that same light and shine forever with your son, so he can feel just like you do, so a cop doesn't have to shine light in his face, reading him his rights. See, your absence proves it's not about warming his soul. It's about avoiding responsibility as a man and not stepping up as a father's role. That's what your son sees. But in your man's voice, see something, but won't tell him the real reason because it's not the right season. How do you deal with the taste in your mouth of having to tell your son that you care when it's not about what your son sees? He has a different perception while your inception seems so real because that false image that you betrayed to your girls puts you and your son in 2 different worlds. Not about what he sees, it's about his sees below his average because that's how you treat him. Don't step back. Step up and lead him. He loves his mom, but not his pops. How can a father know less about his son than the local cops? He's street raised and his gun raised, and lower the gun, son, the one your son raised. And if he pulls the hammer, the judge gavel will raise. 50 years in the slammer when you could have taught him a different way. You didn't have to pull back the hammer. You could have spent time and taken your son to see Raising in the Sun, but you never raised your son. He didn't know better, so he raised a gun. Had someone else's son raising their arms for their life because you never gave him a reason to raise his arms up to you like a son do a father for a hug. You never spent time. Better yet, you never said, son, I love you. He was raised in the streets, and when he got home, his mom was all he had to greet. A child needs love from a woman and a man. A mother's love can help him grow, but a father's love will let him know how to be a man, how to take a stand, how to say no to contrabands, how to keep a gun out your hand, how to make future plans, how he can build the courage to say, yes, I can. A father's role is a role model. A daddy, puff trees and gripping necks and turning up alcohol bottles. A father will instill morals and values. A daddy don't know what that is. They just want to be a rolling stone because where they lay their hat, they want to brand kids. That's why I need my dad.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Woo.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Woo.
Thank you.
Absolutely. OMG. Empowering. Wow. Wow.
Awesome.
Wow.
Well, I have a question for you. I remember back in 2013, you came to Career High School to meet with a bunch of PMI students, and your talk was on rules and why you should follow them. Have you ever built on that piece? Because it seems so timely now. Not that it wasn't then, but it just seems like if we can go back, I remember some of what you did. I have some of the pictures from that segment, and I remember you having each of the young people write something at the end that had to do with those rules. I just wonder if you had ever thought about making it a real curriculum and actually building on it.
No, actually, what I'm so creative. I keep just creating stuff. Just like I was telling Kay earlier, my book is not out because I keep writing.
Right.
Stuff keeps happening, and I keep changing. I change with the times. So what I did was I created this thing. It was called, what did I call it? When I was running the juvenile program, clustering. So I wanted kids to understand. First, I had to explain, like, stepdad and stepmom. Kids don't understand that. Kids do not understand stepdads and stepmoms, and they really needed to do that. So I had to create something. So first I explained to them about stepmoms and stepdads. So after I explained it to them, what their role was, then I had them do clustering. So clustering is you take a piece of paper, 8 by 11, you put a circle, an oval circle, not a big one, an oval circle, just enough to make their full name in there. They put their full name in the circle. Then you draw lines from the top of the oval. You don't go on the side, you don't go on the bottom, you go on the top. Just lines, and then put circles. And these are all the things that you like. Like if you was in a bad space, these are things that could pull you out of that space. Like one kid would take the line, a straight line, and then put the circle at the top of the line. He put music in there. Then he'd take another one. He put, I'm talking to my brother, hanging out with my uncle, sports, movies. Like these are all the things, that positive things that, like, if you was ever in a bad place, if I looked at that list, I could find something to make you happy again. And then after they finish putting in as many as they want, on the bottom, these are broken lines, and with the circle. And these are things that make you go off the clock, like something that just would like really make you mad. And then you will write in there. And one of the kids put, my stepdad. I was like, wow, and then, all kinds of stuff that go in there. I hate when, my stepdad rubs my head. It'll be all kinds of stuff, like, when my mother makes me go to bed early, having to go to school. These are things that kids hate. you know, and I just wanted to do that so they could recognize their likes and their dislikes, right? But I wanted to touch upon the kid who said his stepdad. So then I had to ask him, you know, why is it that you don't like your stepdad? He said, because he ain't my dad and he don't do nothing for me. And I said, you really believe that? And he was like, yeah, he don't do nothing. My mother buy me everything. I said, okay, then picture this. Picture the money he spends on the bills while your mother gets to save her money and spend on you. Picture him taking his money back and your mother has to spend her money on the bills. Who's going to buy you something? Just like that. See how quiet I got? That's just what he did. He got quiet. I wanted him to understand the value of a stepdad because I was a stepdad once and I was that kid. That girl's son couldn't understand that my money was going towards the bills so she could have money to spend on her son. He didn't understand it was a shared value. You know, so I wanted to explain that to that kid, and I wanted him to go home and talk to his stepdad. But I said, now, once they did that, they understand how it works. So now I said, well, this is what you can do now. You go home, and you do the same thing with your stepdads, the people that you don't like. And you do the same thing with your mom. So your mom can understand what you like and what you dislike. And then your mom's going to do the same thing to you. She's going to do hers with her name in the middle, and she's going to talk about the things she likes that you do and things she dislikes. And that's going to bring you all close together. And now y'all put them together, and then you can talk about those things. And then not only do it bring you together, it helps you communicate, something the cell phones took away. Because when they talk about social media, the social media took social away from society. People don't talk anymore. I remember when we were kids, we had to go ring your doorbell or knock on your door. Now I'm in the car. Yo, I'm in the car. Come on out. Really? Ain't nobody talking no more. And because the social's gone, nobody knows how to communicate. And because people don't know how to communicate, they don't say hi. They don't talk to you. Love is a hard word. People can't say they love nobody no more. You gotta do it by the phone. You gotta send a heart, a picture of a heart. You can't just
Carlton, come on. So when you're talking about that, in regard to the social distancing, how do you see that too having an impact, especially around the young people who you're working with at DCF? How are they adjusting to the social distancing piece?
Well, you have a lot of kids who really don't even care. They don't. Nothing's going to stop them. You know, our kids are immortal. At least they feel like they're immortal, so nothing can happen to them. I had a kid who had symptoms of the COVID, you know, and they made him quarantine himself for 2 weeks. He didn't wait for the 2 weeks. He ran outside. He probably did like 3 or 4 days and went back outside because he said he felt better. He couldn't understand. Our kids don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so in terms of, you know, what you were saying, I mean, you know, people feel like, because it's almost like social media. When you look at social media, everybody's up there living their best life. You mean to tell me ain't nobody struggling? Ain't nobody doing bad? Everybody doing good? Anybody? Everybody's doing good on social media. Because I don't see no bad stories. I hear a couple of people saying, yeah, I'm going to beat her up, but, you know, in terms of everybody living their best life. When in actuality, we know people struggling. I know for a fact because I'm in so many different homes, you know. So how can everybody be living their best life? You know, so when you look at our kids, I mean, look at Florida. 1,000 people in the water together. For social distancing. No, they gotta be out. Our kids gotta be out. Like it's almost like I gotta let people see me. I'm fly. I gotta let people see me. I gotta go outside. Man, I could stay in the house all day and watch Netflix. Netflix is my best friend. You know, I could stay in the house and watch Netflix all day. Like, it don't matter what goes on out there, because I know ain't nothing out there. Like, when I hear about kids getting shot 4 o'clock in the morning, why you outside at 4 o'clock in the morning? What you doing outside 4 o'clock in the morning? I'm a grown man with a lot of money, and I could go outside anytime I want. I could go anywhere I want to go. I ain't going outside 4 o'clock in the morning. I ain't going outside 3 o'clock in the morning. I ain't going outside 2 o'clock in the morning. I ain't going outside 1 o'clock in the morning. The only time I'm going outside that time in the morning is when I'm headed to New York to the airport. And I haven't been there while social distancing and Corona, the government put out, this whole thing. But I share a few things. One of the things I want to share is, like, for those that wear masks when you're talking to somebody talking to you. When you ain't around nobody, don't have that mask covering your nose. Get some fresh air, because what's going to happen is that mask is going to break down your immune system, because you ain't breathing no fresh air. And then when that 5G come out, that's throwing out radiation, we all know what radiation does. Just be careful, man. That's all.
Amen.
But listen, I'm here. I'm around. I've been around. I ain't never going nowhere. I might live forever.
You might.
I'm God's son. I'm God's son.
Well, you do live forever through the work that you do. You do live forever. We all do, honestly. That dash in between the dates is all the things that we have done in our lives. And so those stories will continue, And what I heard you saying is that you've been consistent with these young people, and that is so important, that young people see consistency, which happens when there are parents in the house that can hold the young people accountable, and they know that there are rituals that are going to take place. And so I heard you talk about the consistency that you have with your children. You're going to the movies, you're going to dinner. These are things that are traditions and conditions and consistency. Again, you being available to talk to the young men and about your experiences as a man. And so having you as that role model, I thank you again, Brother Carlton White.
I appreciate it.
Just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to hear, from the trenches, a black man out here knocking on doors of families, and knowing our plight and how we overcome so much, and knowing that there are men out there like you doing that work. And we humbly give you, all that you deserve in regard to thanking you and praising you for that, and giving God, the glory for, Him instilling in you that desire as a young kid to want to do more for the young people, and because of what you, did not have the opportunity to have as a role model, male role model, and you've taken on that. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I humbly appreciate it.
Are there any questions or any comments in regard to what Brother Carlton has shared with us tonight? Anyone? And when you do, speak your name and where you are calling from.
I have a comment.
Good evening. Okay, go ahead.
Oh. Are you going first? Or?
No, you can, please. I'll go next.
Okay. So, good evening. My name is Sharon Hinton. I'm the president of Black Teachers Matter Incorporated. My brother, thank you for your testimony. I appreciate you saying change the narrative. So, the first thing is that whenever any study is really done on black fathers, and the statistics show that black fathers, more than any other ethnicity of fathers, are more involved with their kids than anybody else. And that includes white fathers, Asian fathers, Latino fathers, black fathers. more involved with the raising of their kids and the tutelage of their kids than anybody else. And so, that's what you're saying is absolutely correct. So I appreciate the sacrifice that you are doing in terms of raising your kids. And I heard you say I think you said you're psychological kids. I don't think you said spiritual kids, but you're psychological kids, meaning young people that you're raising that are not yours, but that are yours because you have a love for our people. My question to you is, I didn't hear about whether or not you're still with your children's mothers, but in raising your children, who are now probably old enough to have children of their own, but what is your advice to other men who are not with their baby's mama in terms of changing the narrative and breaking the generational curses about broken families? Because up until the 80s, the late 70s, early 80s, 75% of our kids had both parents in the home, and then you got crack and you had welfare that because it was black parents and black men, the government made policies to keep the man out of the house. They never did that with white men. They did that with our men because they know that black men and women together are very powerful. So what is the advice that you give to men in terms of how they should talk about their child's mother, regardless of their relationship with their baby mama or their ex-wife or their wife or whatever? What is your advice to men and how they talk about the young person, whether it's a daughter or a son? You talk mostly about men, but I know and research shows that black fathers are just as important, if not even more important, for females because that is your first image of a man, is your father. If you, whether it's good or bad, that's the first image of a man, and that tends to get carried on into a relationship. So that's my question. But thank you, brother, for your sacrifice and your testimony.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the question. I learned a valuable lesson from a strong woman, which was my mom. As a kid, I was frustrated, didn't have a dad, didn't know where my father was. Probably last time I saw him, I was probably 2, so I don't really have images of him. She taught me a valuable lesson. She never once chastised his name. She never once said anything bad about my dad. Not one. Not one thing bad about my father. So growing up, I learned why my mother and my father wasn't together, because I found out I had a younger brother the same age as my younger sister. So my dad left my mom with 5 kids, and I had a young brother. I found out in my adult years I had a younger brother, which was the same age as my younger sister. And then I lost a sister, but I gained a brother. And he came to Connecticut. He came to the funeral. And I had gotten married the year before. And my father, I found him. Let me share this story. So I got married in 91. And I don't know what my father looked like. I don't know anything. When we were kids, we had 2 fires, and we lost everything both times. So I don't have no childhood pictures. I'd never seen my grandfather. I don't know what he looked like. Pictures burnt up when we were kids. So I asked my mother, where did my father live at? Because I knew I was getting married. I thought about my kids wanting to see their grandfather, because I never saw my grandfather. To this day, I don't know what he looked like. So I thought about my kids being in that situation. And I try to correct everything that was wrong in my life. I try to correct, so when I did have those children, because I didn't know how many children I was going to have, when I did have those, they wouldn't have to go through what I went through. And at the time, I only had my daughter. So I went to, my mother said my father lived in Queens. So I went to Queens. She gave me an old address. I went there. The lady said, he doesn't live here anymore. I remember the man that used to own the house before us, but he don't live here no more. But he did have a brother. I remember him having a brother. His brother lived at da-da-da-da street in Queens. I go over there, boom, his brother Johnny. Johnny living there. Hey, Johnny, who are you? I'm Carlton. I'm Richard White's son, and he was like, oh yeah, my brother lives over such and such. Gave me an address, went over there. I talked to my father, like this grown man I had become. I'm standing on the porch with a man I don't even know. But I'm getting married, and I told him I want him to be a part of my day. And he looked at me, and I saw that look in his face, like, I can't afford it. So I said to him right away, I said, listen, I want you to be a part of my day. You don't have to worry about nothing. You don't have to spend a dime. All you have to do is get to Connecticut. You come to Connecticut. I have a big house. You can stay at my house for the whole week. We'll feed you. You ain't got to do nothing. I got your tux. I'm going to rent that. I just want him to know I'm not asking for no money. Just come. I want you to be in the pictures. My kids and my future kids could be like, that's my granddad right there. He took me up on it. He came down. He brought his little girlfriend. I didn't care. Come on, boom. Sat him up in my house. They were straight. Went to the wedding. I wasn't going to treat him like that. If you would have came to my wedding, you would have thought he was part of my life, my whole life, because I wasn't going to do that to him. Because my mother raised me not to be like that. So I couldn't be like that if I wanted to. So we had a good time. After it was over, I gave him my number, my address. I said, listen, if you ever come through Connecticut, you want to stop in, boom, you got a place to stay. Oh, man, thank you, son. Thank you. He called me son, too. It's thank you, son. Thank you, son. Hugged me. Boom. That was the last I ever seen of him. So I fast forwarded to me starting to work at DCF. So I'm 4 years in now. My mother said my dad is on his deathbed. All the people he's been around all those years, he called my mom. The lady that couldn't be a nurse because she had to stay home with the 5 kids when he left. My mother knew all about nursing, but she couldn't be a nurse. 5 kids. So she called my younger brother, who now calls my mom, and my older brother. She had both of them go down to North Carolina, get your dad, bring him back. I'm going to nurse him back to health. They did it. Came back, brought my father to my mother. Wow. So I'm like baffled. Like, wait, what? He at your house? Yeah, he's sick, lost weight, going blind. Like everything was going wrong with this dude, man. And my mom was like, she couldn't deal with this. She couldn't do nothing about the blindness. But he could see. He could barely see, just see a little bit. But they say blind meaning the numbers in your eyes. It's supposed to be 20/20, but whatever his vision was, it's technically blind. He's not blind, he can't see, but it's technically blind. So my mom is feeding him, whatever she's doing to him, whatever. She's doing her little down south stuff. They nurses down south. Everybody mother down south is a nurse. So so now he's up. He's walking around. He's gaining weight. He's getting back to himself. And right after he was able to get up and walk around and do all this stuff, he bounced. Went right back to North Carolina. So maybe a year later, back on that deathbed, called my mom again. And my mom is the reason why I'm in the field of human services. I watched this lady save a whole entire project. And I mean, anytime something happened, we didn't wait for the ambulance. My mother took care of him until the ambulance got there. Kid fell off the sliding board, busted his head open. She came down with towels, wrapped his head up, held him to her breast so he wouldn't be bugging out. Because every time he started yelling, it's like blood just gushed more. The adrenaline just push the blood out of his head. Like I'm watching this. Go get your mother. I ran and got my mom. She came down with the towel. I told her what happened. She came down with the towels. The ambulance said, the EMT said, I'm glad whoever did this, because if you didn't do this, he would have probably been dead. The girl under me, she had her baby in the toilet. I was downstairs playing with her brother. Go get your mother. It was crazy how I'm always in the right spot. I ran upstairs. Mom, the girl downstairs had her baby in the toilet. Go downstairs, she gets the baby out the toilet, cleans the baby off. Does everything. I'm like, wow, this lady's like a superhero. She was my superhero. My first superhero was my mom. So yeah. I'm watching all this stuff. Like every time something happens, go get your mom. So that's why I'm in the field of human services. So now he's on his second deathbed. She texted my younger brother. He said, I ain't going to get him after what he just did to you. My oldest brother said he ain't going. My middle brother, who's born on the same day, looked just like my father. He don't like my father. He ever since we was little kids. He older than I am, and he hates my father guts, even to this day. So I'm the last one. So everybody's in New Haven. I'm the only one in Waterbury. She calls me last and said, listen, I need you to drive to North Carolina, go get your father, because your brothers ain't getting him. I said, well, if they ain't going to get him, then why you want me to go get him? Boy, you know how I am. And my mother knows I'll do anything for her. I drove to North Carolina. True story. I drove all the way to North Carolina by myself. I picked up my dad. He's throwing all those little stuff in my truck. I'm like, I got a new truck, dog. What are you doing? All this little old stuff. Throw the stuff away. He packing his little stuff in there, right? So I guess this is for good. So he packed all the little stuff in there. So we driving. So he wanted to stop and get my mother something. I need something because I'm tired of all outdoors. I mean, I drove straight there. I took an hour nap in the parking lot, and then we on our way back. And then I wanted to get something to fizz me, some soda or something. So I go in there. Now, mind you, I'm paying for tolls, gas, everything. He ain't going in his pocket for nothing. And I don't want nothing. But we go in the store. He's going to go get something for my mom. This dude pulls out a wad of money, like all this money. I'm like, you ain't going to help pay for gas or nothing? Oh, all right, I got you. I had money to do it anyway, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm coming down here to get you. You ain't going to even, like, pay for gas. So I got all the way, we made it back. I dropped this dude off. I told my mother, I said, yo, listen, don't ask me to take this man nowhere. I said, I go in the store, this man pulls out all these hundreds. He ain't help pay for gas or nothing. She said, don't worry about it. I'll give you money. I don't want nothing from you. It's just a principle, But I say that to say, to this day, my mother's been taking care of my father.
Wow.
Which is the craziest thing in the world, but I know that can't be nothing but God. So to all these fathers that have these baby moms, and I to the person who asked the question, I mentioned it earlier, you got a co-parent and you can't cross boundaries. That's where all the problems happen, when you start crossing boundaries. You start to rekindle old flames. And remember, old flames. That means the flames are going to douse out real quick. And that's where the problems lie when you start a co-parent and you try to start crossing boundaries and you start wanting to creep and somebody got a mate and it's not going to happen. It's not going to work out, But you still, as a man, you still have to be in your son's life. Sometimes mothers chastise men, and that's the biggest problem, because when the kid grows up and he gets 13, 14, 15, start dwindling out of control, she wants to go call the man for help who she chastised, and now this kid don't got no respect for her, so he can't even be you can't even say nothing to the kid because he might punch you in the face or maybe pull a gun out on you and shoot you. And this is what we're dealing with today, because I've seen it. I've seen kids in homes tell their mother, you shut the hell up. And then the father says, don't talk to your mother. Man, you shut up too. You ain't, and start going off on dad about what he did because he got some dirt from mom. So he's chastising dad. Like, you out here banging all these, talking this talk. You know what I mean? And here I am facilitating now. Yo, my man, listen. I'm not going to be sitting here while you talking to your mom and your pops like that. Yo, so I don't care about both of them, man. My man, listen. You need to chill with that. But that's what happens when you start crossing lines and so don't, if you're going to co-parent, because like with my son's mom, I co-parent. We speak. My wife comes around. It's like it ain't nothing. You know what I mean? But with my daughter's mom, whole different story. She chastised my name my whole life, and not for once did I ever combat that. I let her have it. I told my daughter, when you get older, you'll see. I'm not going to talk about your mom because you live with her. I wouldn't do that. Your mom could talk about me all she wants to, because people have been talking about me my whole life, and a lot of it is being envy. I'm in the projects, and then once I got old enough to start getting jobs, I'm driving nice cars. You know what I'm saying? I own my own store. I'm doing all this stuff, so I know people are going to be jealous of me. I understand the crab in the barrel mentality, but I don't have to play into that. And so her mother chastising my name, telling my daughter all this stuff about her. I mean, I'm talking about some crazy. If I tell y'all stuff, y'all be laughing on the phone. Like some of the stuff she told my daughter, like I'm going to tell you one. Like she told my daughter, like, your father ain't never did nothing for you, right? He didn't even have medical insurance. So she had to have you on her brother's insurance. Now, when my daughter was a kid, she didn't understand that. But when she grew up, I was like, now let me see you try to go have a baby on your brother's insurance. Like stupid stuff, like, really? So I'm a smart dude. Because I learned to get smart. I wasn't always smart. I had to learn to get smart. So what I did was everything I did for my daughter, I took pictures. I had them in a suitcase. I never was going to show her till she got old enough and became grown. Now you're a grown woman. Now I could talk to you like a grown woman. I never chastised her mother. I took my briefcase out and I said, go through these pictures. And she was looking. She said, oh, we went to Canada? Oh, we was in D.C.? Oh, Dad, where's this at? We went on the cruise? And I showed her all these pictures in a timeline. I said, not once was I ever out of your life. And then I pulled out the child support papers and showed how her mother in the 80s was getting $800 and something a month. In the 80s was getting $800 a month because I was making money. I was working in printing. I don't know why a lot of black people don't do that, but that's a lot of money. I was making a lot of money in printing. So the court wanted to make a mockery out of me because I was the first black to go up in there, and that's when court used to be open and everybody could be in there. And I don't even know why I'm here. My daughter has everything, and her mother was jealous of this big house I had back in the 80s. It was just a big mess, and she always chastised me. But I had all these pictures proving that I was always in your life. Wow. But I never said nothing. But she said, well, why you never say nothing about my mom? I said, why? Why should I? I ain't playing that game. You say something about me, I'm going to say something about you. That's for kids. God said, when you grow up, you put away childish things. All that talking and mumbo, going back and forth, I'm not doing that. Why? Why do I have to? God knows what I did with you. She was mad because you and my wife had the best relationship. Y'all used to go on trips without me, shopping sprees and all that. Mother didn't like that. I had money and she wasn't a part of it. But you do have people that's like that. So when you get in situations like that, then you don't cross those boundaries. I'm not going to say nothing about her because my life ain't with her no more. My life is with my daughter. So the only thing that matters is what me and my daughter talk about because she's grown now. I don't have to talk about her mother, and I never will. I'm not going to talk about her mother. I'm not going to chastise her. I'm not going to say nothing about her mother. I'm going to talk about you and me. We're going to go here, and we're going to go forward. We're going to leave the past in the past. Whatever your mother said, so be it. I'm showing you proof. I don't have to say nothing. It's right here.
Well, I appreciate you, bro. And I've been going since like 5 o'clock this morning. So I promised that I was going to be on this phone call tonight, no matter what.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
I mean, me and you could go, man. I could tell we could talk too, but I'm running out of steam, and out of respect, I got to go. But God bless you and keep up the good. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
This is Sister K. There's a young man that's on the call. I don't know if he's on tonight, but he wants to reach out to you in regard to the Black Teachers Matter. I just want to let you know that, and Sister Trina will connect you. He reached out to me.
Before you go, Black Teachers Matter, where is that at?
Black Teachers Matter Incorporated is headquartered in Boston, but my board is, the members of my board are from D.C., Rhode Island, Boston, South Dakota, L.A. I'm missing one.
Virginia?
No, not yet. But we have sister schools that we partner with in Uganda and in Cameroon and in Ghana. And so the original, my Magnificent Seven board is across the country. And one of my board members is actually building a school on a reservation in South Dakota. One of the other board members is doing technical, vocational, and entrepreneurial stuff because he had a trucking firm with his grandfather and with his brother. Another board member is actually into music education. She's a musician and she's into holistic medicine. She's a vegetarian. So she's doing that whole musical piece. And then, the brother that's from D.C., he's actually helping us get all the governmental grants and the papers and the whole thing. So I got a heavy-hitting board. And then we have advisory groups that are doing advocacy work. But we're headquartered in Boston because that's where I am, but we actually have reached out and we have affiliates. We have advisory groups that are all around the world, literally all around the world. We're an organization of black educators and administrators that are here for black people unapologetically. Black people, black children, black parents, black education. We black, blackity, black, 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 y'all.
I love it.
Listen, when you came out and said the title, I was like, that's what's up.
What's up?
And
we've been here before, man. We've been here before. We've been here before. We've built institutions.
And
we know how to do
wonderful that you're here again today, and you're going to continue to be here because we'll make sure that you stay connected with each and every one that reaches out for you and everyone that sits around this table. And we thank you, Sister Hinton, for...
We're trying to do that, but the reason why you haven't heard me the last 3 phone calls is we're doing advocacy work. We're trying to we are going to change the structure of the Boston School Committee, which is the only fully appointed school committee in the whole state of Massachusetts. We're advocating against the Memorandum of Understanding between the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Boston Public School System. DESE is trying to put the Boston Public School System in receivership within the next 3 years, so we're fighting that. And we're also, there are teachers across the country, black teachers. Well, teachers are being laid off across the country, and the government's trying to blame COVID. And then you have the Secretary DeVos, who's giving all the government money and that COVID money to private schools and the charter schools. So we're fighting that crazy chick, And so there's advocacy work that we're doing to change the structure and reimagining what education looks like for our kids, because education has never... it's always been a tool of white supremacy and oppression. And so we know how to do this. We built Tuskegee. We have HBCUs. We know how to do this. We did it before. But, Malcolm said only a fool allows your enemy to educate your children. And so for a long time we got lazy and we either got beat out, bought out. But we forgot that Head Start came from the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense. Breakfast Program came from the Black Panther Party of Self-Defense. Free healthcare came from us. And all this stuff, our history didn't start in slavery. Our history started in Africa. And so that's why we reached out to teachers in Cuba, and we've reached out to black people in the motherland in Africa. I mean, if you black and you about black liberation, then we down with you. If you black and you're not about black liberation, then, we got to be harried. You got to stay on the plantation, and we got to kill you. That's it. You got to go. You can't be with us.
Could you leave an email for me?
Who, me?
Email address? Yeah.
Oh, Sister Kay has it. Sister Kay has it.
Okay. Because we do fatherhood work and we do conferences. I would love for you to have it come down and do one of our conferences.
There is a brother up here. His name is Marv Neal. And I didn't know if you were affiliated with him, but he was one of my former students at Springfield College School of Human Services. It started a fatherhood, and I forget what he calls it, but he has a fatherhood organization up here that does it. He actually advocates for men to have custody of their kids and to fight against child support, unequal child support laws, and because that, there's that whole, I'm not telling you anything, I'm preaching to the choir, but for the men that have to pay child support, my brother was one of them, for women that had kids by other men. But in California, if you're married to this woman, even though it's not your kid, you can prove by DNA that it's not your kid, you still have to pay for him. So and then there are women that force men to pay child support and then don't allow visitation rights. So his group actually advocates for the rights of fathers to be able to parent their child. They want to parent their child. And so Marv Neal is his name, and I can't right off the top of my head because I'm so tired, I can't think of his organization, but he's been doing it for the last 15 years, and he advocates for men, fathers, and black men specifically.
I probably met him because we have New England Fatherhood Conferences every year. And
I know you must know him.
Yeah, I know. I have to know him because I'm part of the FELT team, Fathers Engagement Leadership Team here in Connecticut. in Waterbury, and we go every year, and they're all over. They're in Mass. Actually, it was at the convention center downtown, Mass, for the last 2 years prior to COVID. It's in New Hampshire. It's been in Rhode Island. It's been in Maine. And it's been in Foxwoods. Where we have it. We had it in Foxwoods. So, people were getting their gamble on. But we do this every year. And, yeah, we do it every year. So I know I met them because, man, these things are like super dope. But we have we have another fatherhood conference that we do in Connecticut. And would be good to have you come down and do a breakout session. Just
I don't know if y'all gonna like what I have to say though. I'm not. I don't know if you. I don't know, bro. I'm pretty.
Listen, we're gonna
like what you say. We'll have the truth. Let the truth speak itself. Yes. We will make sure that this connection stays connected. Again.
You know who I need to get the information from? On that call that I was on was that brother. I say brother because he's a male, but he's really a white boy. And I think he was from Connecticut, and he was talking about doing the social work stuff and the financial literacy workshop. And then there was a sister.
Yes,
and then the sister Denise that was down south, that was on the island. I found out some information for her in terms of helping her teach down there in James Island.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I didn't forget about them either. So if you can give them my information, we have some resources for her to do some teaching.
Okay.
Thank you, my brother. I gotta go. Please.
All right. Thank you. Katora, are you still on the line?
I am, my sister.
Yes, my love. Would you like? I know you had a comment or a question.
Yes. First of all, it's always a pleasure to be in the energy of Carlton. I've known him for a long time, and you have just always been consistent. Always a gentleman, just had that kind spirit, but people, that respectful energy. So, it's really been, thank you for sharing your story and your journey. Thank you for the work that you do. I was, prior to retirement, I was peripheral to DCF. We would do treatment for DCF through Connecticut Mental Health Center. But, it's a yeoman's task. So I guess, part of my thing as a therapist and somebody that's just, continually striving to look at the healing element in our community in reference to our historical pain, in reference to what is going to, our attempts historically at healing. Sometimes it has been skewed. Sometimes, most of the time, we have not had the opportunity to even begin to process all of what we've been through because we're still going through it. So I think for, particularly for our men, and helping them to find their voice. And oftentimes, as you know, the men's voices come out in violence, or it comes out in abandonment. It comes out in words, as opposed to doing what Louise Hay calls doing that mirror work, of giving our men an opportunity to look in the mirror and begin to do that self-assessment and that healing of self. So I guess, what you're in these homes, and just by the mere fact that you're in these homes coming as a result that are representative of DCF, we know that there's some level of issues going on that would require that level of intervention in the hierarchy. So what services are available to our men? Women will oftentimes come to therapy. Black women are coming to therapy more, but our community, and I recognize the why. Half of the why was like, there was very few of us that looked like them that they felt that they could come to. However, we were on the double-edged sword because they would look at me and say, you know, I don't want her to be my therapist because she lives in the community and everybody will know my business. So as therapists of color, we always had to struggle with that. And there are even fewer black male therapists that are out there that a man, they can sit down and have one of those, you know, man-to-man talks. Because I have to work with them to get past their ego and get past the machismo crap, you know, in order for me to really be able to get them to trust me enough to talk to me. So what are the, you know, perhaps you could share what are some of the resources, or does your Father Initiative program offer a safe and sacred space for men to come and just, you know, be authentic and, you know, ego at the door, authentic. That's my question.
So we have a fatherhood engagement leadership team where we meet monthly, and we have people from the community, like fathers, like real dads, you know, that's not working, at the table. And when decisions need to be made, those are the go-to people. We don't answer the questions because we're DCF. We keep our mouth shut and we allow them to have a voice at the table where they can help us spearhead this, and then they can pull in more dads. We have 24-hour dads, but you have to be involved with DCF. And that's statewide. Also, we are connected with all the fatherhood programs. So fathers that are not connected with DCF, you know, we bring them to the table as well because they have a voice as well. We share information. We share fatherhood programs. We have some fatherhood programs that advocacy. They take fathers to court. We get volunteers to donate suits, and some of these fathers, we find suits to fit them, and we have a lot of people donating suits and coats and dress shirts and just trying to, you know, make them look civil so when they do go to court, they look presentable. We do also let them dress up so when they go into job interviews, we have fatherhood programs that teach fathers how to be appropriate when doing job interviews and how to talk and be presentative. We have 211. We give them 211 because it matters where you live at to determine which fatherhood program you should be in, because we don't want people traveling so far that, you know, when the weather is bad, now I'm not going because that's too far for the weather that's out there. We want you close to home. We have fatherhood programs throughout the state of Connecticut. I was saying it earlier, there's a friend of mine named Anthony Gay. He spearheaded the fatherhood program at DCF because once upon a time, you tell a DCF worker that, you know, the father was never in his life, that was the end of it. Nobody looked for him, nobody cared about him. It was just what mother said. We started in 2003. He started in October, I started in December. And for the last 9 years, he instituted the fatherhood program where now when supervised investigators go to the homes and the mother says, you know, he's never been in his life, don't even talk about him, let's just not even think about him. Okay, that's just what she said. But when he leaves that house, he has to do diligence to go look for his father and search for him. He cannot pass that case to ongoing services without showing reasonable efforts of looking for the dad. And so now it's all about finding fathers. And we created a Dads Matter 2 page. They can go up there. It's a wealth of knowledge on our Dads Matter 2 page. 211 provides a slew of information where there are programs now, single dads initiatives. They help find rent and homes and jobs and do all kinds of stuff. So there's a slew of programs, a slew of them, fatherhood programs throughout the state of Connecticut, and it doesn't matter what part of town you live in. If because they're there. And, you know, so the best thing to tell fathers is to just dial 211 and, you know, share your story. Listen, I'm homeless. I need a place to stay. Where you located? They say where they're located. 211 has all the information. Even when we do have fatherhood programs, and fathers come out, I wish that the young lady was still on the phone, because there was a young man, we caught his story. He was from Mass. He was sleeping under a bridge, and he fought by himself to get his son back, and he got his son back from Mass DCF when they was just dogging him, and they terminated his rights, and he never gave up. He was homeless, and he was sleeping under a bridge. It was a big story, so we got wind of it, and we brought him down to Connecticut, and we put him in front of all the chiefs and CEOs, and we put him in front of the magistrates and everybody. And, it was powerful. He told his story. We shared information. We made connections to Massachusetts. And, dude ended up getting a good job. We helped him get an apartment and everything, man. So, I mean, it don't really matter where you're from. You know, it's about what you're about. And if you're about your kids, we find the help. You know, even if you don't know which way to go, you come to our office. You can ask about the fatherhood program. One of us will come downstairs and, give you any information that you need.
I think that, for them to be able then, once they get on their feet, once they get an apartment and all those things, to help them to have those courageous conversations with their children. That is probably the thing that is the most challenging as far as the quote, the reunification or the unification with their children, is having that courageous conversation. And reality is you're going to have more than one on that journey. So, I've developed a curriculum that's centered around the brief treatment intervention, that's centered around a journey of healing from loss. And the loss can be anything: the loss of my parental rights, the loss of being a present father, the loss of being a present mother, the loss of a limb or your job or whatever. But to really try to facilitate, and it's 7 steps, and to really to try to facilitate those conversations that aren't being said, and nobody wants to say it, and then it comes out as a carom because it's going to come from a different direction as opposed to face to face, as opposed to let's do some healing. And I know that the system isn't truly designed for those kind of interactions. So, I mean, I'd be more than happy to, share what I'm doing with you. My whole mission, as God has given it to me, is to share the curriculum, train people so that they can use the curriculum, and for to impact the masses of people. We're in such a time now where loss and grief is overwhelming. And now the country and the world is now dealing with the loss and grief of abusing a whole community of people, which is Black and brown people. And people don't know what to do with that. Some of us don't know what to do with that, to find our voice around that. We've had our head down and shoulder to the grindstone for so long that we've normalized oppression. We've normalized all of these isms that, when the pressure cooker explodes and then we are killing each other or abusing our families or whatever, but we have to go to the root of that. We have to go to the root of that. And we can't, it's like the Sankofa bird. We cannot move forward unless we deal with how our past has impacted us. And I'm not talking about, we do have to talk about that enslavement period, but I'm just talking about your past family of origin. You came out of that. You could have gone either way. I could have gone in either direction from the issues that I had to deal with coming out of my family of origin. But by God's grace and mercy, you chose the athletic path, you chose the academic path, you chose the empathic path. That's the path that you chose. And you're dealing with those individuals that have chosen the path that is going to nowhere. And I commend you by telling them you got to change your narrative. You got to change the words that you're saying to yourself. You got to change the direction that you are going, because we know the end result of this path. You're going to have to choose the path that's not even traveled yet, because nobody has had your life experience, and you've got to carve that path, because nobody truly believes that you can, and that you will. But just by the mere fact that people like you and me and Kay and Trina and the sister that was on there talking about educators, to look in a child's eye or look in a young person's eye, and sometimes look in an adult person's face and says, I see different for you. I see better for you. I see limitless potential for you. I see change for you, And I used to say to these people, I am going to carry your hope until you can carry it yourself.
Nice.
So I'll touch base with you. You touch base with me. Let me, people need to we just got to hear it. Thank you.
Once all this blows over and we are able to get back to the forum, because all our conferences are at Central Connecticut State College, because it gives us the forum. So we have the platform, and sound like what you're doing would be right up that alley. Get you on a panel speaking about your services, get you in a breakout session so people can know actually what you do, bring literature. We definitely going to talk. We definitely got to talk.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for allowing us to have a courageous conversation.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute now.
These are the things that should happen at the table. We should be able to support one another and to find our niches, our resources, our money, even, our grants, our contracts. All of those things should be found right here. So I'm glad that it's happening right before our eyes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
This was beautiful.
Is there anyone else comments? Because I know, again, here we are. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. We went over an hour, guys.
Wow.
That's a great thing. That how many roundtables can say people want to stay an extra hour? To get you on a call on a Thursday evening says enough all by itself. Volume to the quality of people that's on the call, but to stay an extra hour too, that's a fight. We know that.
Yeah, perfect timing, perfect everything. He just does it. Is there anyone else on the call that just wants to shout out, say hello, let us know that you're here?
Yes, this is Teresa from Syracuse.
Hey, Teresa. Blessings always.
Yes. I'd like to say something. Last week, I don't know what I had been in I made a comment, and by the time I got off the round table the next morning, I had a change of heart, and from that day to this, my whole heart has changed. And what I had said last week is that I wasn't ever going back. I've owned a daycare center, and you take your kids from 6 to 12 years old. And so I said, I've definitely made the statement that I will to do God's will, and I really don't care what it is. I knew that my season for daycare was over. I had signed up to, I met with someone twice to open up a new center, and then they were supposed to formulate a lease, and we would get the ball rolling. And I hadn't heard from them in almost 30 days. I had reached out to them on one occasion and didn't hear anything. And I ended up telling you all that I not bought cash, but got a food truck. I put a down payment on it, and $100,000 food truck that a friend had given me, and we were going to go in that direction. I had been a previous restaurant owner, so that comes second nature to me. So I'm thinking that, well, I'm going in this direction, go up on the college campus, and this is what I'm going to do. However, the next day I had a change of heart. And I was saying that I just want to be a consultant to other people that got daycare centers. So it's like the Lord just touched my heart and said, no, call that gentleman back that you were supposed to do the lease with. So, but I did it in a very professional, polite way, and throwing in the towel. I actually said to him that if you were feeling having a second thoughts about renting the center to me, I would even be a consultant for your church, and I will open it up in your name, as a consultant. So, no, it was a misunderstanding. He called me back, no, you were God sent. This is the way we're supposed to go. We're to rent it to you. He told me some things that was going on where he didn't get back in touch with me. So I'm back on the bandwagon with opening up the new center. Trina on the line said, as soon as I said it, I was the last person that spoke. She said, I sent that spirit right back to you. Like, of me doing daycare for like 20 years, and the fact that I want to always be in the loop or doing something to impact and bring changes in children's lives. But just getting on this, I just got on the line with you all. And what I'm going to say about you all, from wherever you're from, whether it's Connecticut, Atlanta, Charlotte, Arizona, wherever everybody's at, I'm encouraged by you as a group, as a roundtable. Don't ever think that what you're doing is not impactful, even on the roundtable, because I was on it with you all last week, and I was the last one to come on, and that one segment that I was on with you all last week, I had been on before, it changed my heart. Had I not been on there, Trina hit me about 10:30 and asked me to come on, and so had I not got on, I probably would have went left, and I thought I was going left to not even ever open up again, and that gave me a whole change of heart. But now I'm on the phone with some, every one of you all are interested in doing something to educate, impact
our children, our families. Absolutely.
And that's who I am, and that's who I've been for years. I got 6 kids biologically. I raised a grandson for 14 years. I probably have had about 700 children in my care in the last 20 years with daycare, introducing them to things in the world that they could never have afforded, and without their parents' help, we did it because that was our way of giving back. So for me to think that my season probably end when I go in the grave, you know what I mean? And I want to thank you all for having this heart, this love, this courageousness about staying on the battlefield for our children. Because if we don't pass something to the next generation, what does the future look like? It's bleak. So I want to thank you all. I'm in New York right now, and we're looking at some. I'm here to spend some days in New York to do some work without distractions at home, and it's going to be my birthday, so I'll extend it over to my little birthday
Okay. Happy
but
birthday.
I'm doing my paperwork. Because it's 108 pages because I'm back in the mode and I'm back in the mood of let me do something to impact our children in a super phenomenal way this time around. And so as soon as I got my head back in place, then I started hearing something from the state saying go back in by September 18th. As soon as you get ahead and go in the direction that God is telling you, then he's adding all the other pieces to the puzzle. So here we go, here I am, and this is what we're getting ready to do. And it's really so important to educate our children, because that's how you win against the masses, being able to articulate, being able to have a dialogue with people no matter where they're from, what color their skin is. If you don't have an education, you how do you even be able to communicate with them? And so I was saying that because I'm talking to some other people who's running around our neighborhood looking for grants, little grants, but you all are kissing and bending and stooping for $2,000 and $3,000 or $1,500 when you don't even know the dialogue to eat, and they can pick up on the fact that you're uneducated or uninformed. And when I say education, a formal education is great if you can get one. But if you can't, but you're a book reader, you're still self-educated, and you know something about what you're discussing at the table with those that you're meeting with. So, and so tonight I was telling some people in my hometown, because we were on a conference call here, like you have to have an education. These white folks know that you're begging for peanuts when you're running behind them and can barely talk because you don't even know the lingo. And so then that's why they're playing y'all for $1,500 when there's much more for you to gain. So anyway, I just want to thank you all for giving me another perspective, a change of heart, and I'm back into the mode. Trina was like, I said that to you.
And thank you for that. And that was a perfect segue into, I don't know if you remember, your homework assignment. Who did it? What was the homework assignment from last week?
I remember you saying it, too, at the end of the conversation. What was it?
I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it. 7 names.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah.
7 names that... 7 signatures to take to your mayor or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, 7 names, 7 names. Okay? Just do your homework, just 7 names. And then those letters will go out. But you got to have your 7 names. Okay?
Okay.
That's 7 names. I'll just keep saying it. And the letters will go out. And you know what? 7 was mentioned twice tonight. You mentioned, Sister Hinton mentions her magnificent 7 board members, right? Who was it? Lady Couture? Was it, or was it Brother White? Somebody else mentioned, 7 something. And so
yes, I said 7 modules.
Yes.
7 modules to the training. Yes.
Okay. So here and Sister Trina, she educated us on all it takes is 7 signatures, 7 names. To your Congress people, your local councilmen, chancellors, superintendents, whoever it is that those letters need to go to, we need to make sure that we're doing our due diligence and identifying those signatures, those names, those 7 names. Okay.
One last question. The person that's on the line, I think she's from Connecticut, that's doing the curriculum. Is that something, is she selling a curriculum? Like, could I buy a curriculum for my daycare center or no?
Basically, what I would do is I would train you so that you can not only do it in your daycare center, you would be able to use it anywhere folks gather. So you could take it to your church and do it. I would make sure that you are certified by me to be able to do the curriculum. That was my mission. That was what woke me up at 5:30 in the morning, is to make sure that it gets out there. So
how would I get with you to be able to do that?
Just send me an email or text so that I can put you on a list. I should be through the copyright process very shortly, God willing, at the end of this coming week. Once I get it copyrighted, then I will start to launch, and just people will, those that are interested, please come. It'll be a virtual training. I will take you through it first, and then I have a workbook. That's what's being copyrighted as well.
Right.
It's the workbook piece, so that you would be able to download the workbook and duplicate what I'm doing.
Okay. Look at that. I mean, again, thank you all for the hunger, the nourishment. It's just so fulfilling to hear what is happening amongst us on this call, and as we continue to bring others to the call and be able to share, because that's what Brother Carlton was talking about. Getting the information out there. And this is just one way of getting that, whatever the information that needs to be disseminated amongst our people. And it happens, through this one vehicle that leads to another vehicle that gets connected to something else. It's a beautiful metamorphosis, and just thank you again, each and every one of you on this line tonight. This is, again, 14. And is it 14-1, Trina? Is it 14-2? How we doing this?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that sister that was inquiring, Kay, could you just make sure she gets my information?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm Teresa.
Teresa, I know Teresa Giles and
I know. I was talking to the young lady that said make sure I get her information, so I'm telling her my name so that when I reach out, she'll know who I am.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, any final comments? Identification shout outs?
No.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
Is Trina on the line? Is Trina on this line? I thought I heard her voice.
Yeah, Trina's here. Trina?
She must be going in and out.
Well, yeah. She's in Alabama.
Oh, is she? Okay, I know.
Okay. All right, then, with that being said, I just, again, thank you, Carlton White. C. White. Brother White. It's just been, again, this opportunity for you to take the time to give us these nuggets, because knowing that you are out here in the trenches, helping one family at a time, and then being able to share that. We thank God for you. We pray that you continue to be healthy physically, mentally, and spiritually, so that you can continue to knock on those doors and walk the streets, and provide these young men and women in our communities with hope and having role models, you being that. I thank you, and I'm quite sure I speak on behalf of the Urban Academics Roundtable, those who have committed themselves to be here every Thursday, giving up their time to be able to share and experience at the same time each and every moment that we so selflessly give. And so I thank you. I thank you, each and every one of you. I thank God for you. I thank God that He has blessed us with the mind and the capacity to just be so open and willing to do this work. It's not easy. There are sacrifices that each and every one of us make. I know Trina, I thank God for her wherewithal, sharing, for the loss that she has embraced and with her father-in-law passing this week, but yet the work still gets done because of her commitment and her leadership and the passion that she has demonstrated. And so we ask God to continue to bless her and keep her healthy and strong. And I'm just so filled this evening. And so we will close this meeting, this lovely, lovely, wonderful, just, again, fulfillment. And so this meeting is adjourned.
Okay.
Blessings.
All right, good night.
Always.
Peace. Bye.
Good night, beautiful queens. Good night, beautiful queens. And any kings that are
Good night, my beautiful king. Yes.
Good night.